You are now watching Zach Lesage, the best place to learn about competitive Pokemon TCG. Let's get it! Yo, what's poppin' peeps? Welcome back to the channel, Zach Lesage here. Today we're going to be going over the top 16 deck lists from the last late night series events. Unfortunately, we do not have a grand finals for this event, so you haven't got a chance to watch it. It's because it doesn't exist. No one got back to me on streaming. If y'all are in the finals, please get back to me. I usually reach out to you around the top 4, and maybe we'll get back to streaming these events for Season 3. Just a lot of stuff going on and incredibly busy right now with PTCG Live content, PTCGO content, and everything else in the mix. That being said, there will be access to the deck list. I have a link in the description to the standings. You can copy and paste any of those deck lists for PTCGO, PTCG Live, and kind of prepare yourself for that. These are in the Fusion Strike format, so if you already moved on to Brilliant Stars, this is more for a historical understanding of the metagame for the last week of Fusion Strike. This upcoming late night series will be Brilliant Stars legal, and I'm more than excited to showcase that next week. So that being said, give this video a thumbs up. The like button help get this video into more hands of Pokemon TCG players on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're about 150 subs away from getting to 10K. We could absolutely blow this one out of the water. Come on, let's make it happen. It's been such a journey, and I can't wait to get to the next goal. We'll have to figure out what it is, and let me know in the comments what else you want to see content. If you have anything you want to talk about these top 16 decks, I'm excited. Let's get it. Let's jump into these lists. So jumping right into it, here we are at the late night, number 28, just under 300 player at 270. I think in US and Canada, it was President Day / Family Day, if I'm not mistaken. So people are either playing more or playing less. I think also with this being the last week of Fusion Strike, players are pretty bored of the format. They're ready for Brilliant Stars. And I mean, literally the next day, Brilliant Stars is getting released. So I'm sure players are busy acquiring codes, getting all that stuff taken care of. That being said, I will be jumping right into it and just kind of explaining what these decks are, their brief strategy. If anyone wants to learn more about these decks, because I know a lot of people are like, Zach, you go a little bit too quick on these decks. I mean, our format's fully been discovered at this point. This is literally the last late night series, the largest events in the game right now, that are being held. Anyways, we've gone over these decks multiple times on my channel. Every single one of these decks has been covered on my channel in some capacity. So just scroll through. They're absolutely there. If you need to know the exact link for a video, by all means, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. If you are one of these players, I do try to constructively go through each deck, but the whole goal here is to really tell you what I like about the decks, what I don't like about the decks, etc., etc. So when it comes down to it, I think we'll go there and see exactly what's going on with Busak 69. So Busak is playing the Dark Box, as we've kind of deemed it, with Galarian Wheezing, Galarian Moltres, Hoopa, Sableye, and there's a Rapid Strike Urshifu tech, which is pretty cool there. So the whole goal of this deck is to send up something like Galarian Wheezing, use Neutralizing Gas, stop your opponent's abilities, do some chip damage with Severe Poison. That chip damage from either Severe Poison or Hoopa's Assault Gate can really help you get the knockout with Fiery Wrath. After your opponent's drawn a couple prize cards, you can drop down that Moltres, use its Malevolent Charge ability, accelerate energies, and then hit with Fiery Wrath. There's also Sableye V that after they have some damage on it, you could drop that down, Raihan to it, accelerate an energy, attach an energy from your hands, knockout with Crazy Claws. Now, where the Rapid Strike Urshifu V is at, the Rapid Strike Urshifu V is supposed to go Raihan, drop down a Rapid Strike energy that you could also search out from the Raihan, and then you're able to just go ahead and get the knockout against things that are weak to fighting. So that might be Jolteon, because Jolteon has a pretty good matchup against this deck. It's they're drawing multiple prize cards, you're only offering one at a time, so it is one of those things that that's kind of how I view that matchup. You can get back your cards with Clara. You have a lot of cool things like that. I mean, this list does not look bad by any means. I'm kind of looking through it. This looks standard. I mean, the Rapid Strike Urshifu V has not seen as much success as without. I think sometimes it's okay to just lose to a matchup, but I don't have any issues with it. I think it's more than fair tech. And going forward in our Brilliant Stars format, my list for this deck takes out the Wheezing and adds in a Galarian Zapdos. I worked on the list with Mo Ideas, so it's one of those things where we'll have to see how that goes. I mean, they brought a lot to the list, but anyways, I think this list looks great, and I want to know what they ended up losing to that knocked them out. Probably Jolteon. No, they actually lost to Rapid Strike, which is a much worse matchup. Rapid Strike, again, anything that's drawing multiple prize cards against a single prize card deck does pretty well. This deck also adds in Mana Feed next format. Moving on to Ultra NKO, we're seeing Mew VMAX, the best deck in the format. So this, to me, looks like a pretty standard list. We see lists that play catcher, lists that don't. I think Mew lists can be teched up however they like, to be honest. The whole goal is to be using Cross Fusion Strike and copying different attacks, whether it's Melodious Echo or using Techno Blast or whatever. I like the Oricorio tech. I think that card's cool against Jolteon. Some lists play it, some lists do not. Elsa Sparkles, Accelerating Energies. Mew VMAX pretty much has it all. And I know there's a lot of people that hate this deck, think that it's too easy to play. I think Mew is a low skill entry, high skill deck. So playing Mew perfectly is going to net a different result than playing Mew at a base floor level. I really don't see any issues with this deck. I would like to see like an extra Fog Crystal, to be honest. I would probably just cut a Pokemon catcher for a Fog Crystal, and I think this list is pretty spot on perfect. I like the double switch, double escape rope. Most lists that are playing double escape rope are trying to beat Dark Box to get around it playing Galarian Wheezing or the lack thereof. So it's something that might change going forward next format, as players might cut Wheezing, but players might not cut Wheezing. It's really interesting. So I think this looks like an absolute great list. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up losing to a Dark deck. They lost to a Duraludon, so basically, since their list only plays 2 Psychic Energies, Duraludon ate them up. Did predict this into our top best decks kind of format, so it's one thing that I kind of wanted to put out there. Moving on to Lucas Nascimento, and my apologies if I butcher anyone's name. We got Rapid Strike. I think Gengar has been on the rise, Jolteon's on the rise. Rapid Strike should be on the rise, and I mean that's why the Moltres, I think they're trying to beat Gengar, Jolteon, and Mew, and that's the reason why. So they're playing this as kind of a half Rapid Strike, half Galarian Moltres deck. Galarian Moltres can use its Dire Flame Wings, accelerate energies. You could use Energy Switch. I'd actually like to see another Energy Switch in this deck, to be honest. I think that that'd be really cool. But that's where, like, there's 2 Rhyhorns. A lot of these lists play 3 Rhyhorns. I think, like, there's a certain point where I don't even know if the Passimian's necessary to do the whole telescopic sight Passimian kind of plays, because your deck doesn't necessarily get to that point. I think it's much better to just be like, hey, I'm playing a Rapid Strike deck. It doesn't matter if I do those things because I'm going to be Moltres in that matchup anyways, or anything else like that. So while I don't think there's anything wrong with this list, and the whole strategy is to either use Gale Thrust against fighting type decks or fighting type weak decks, Gmax Rapid Flow against single prize card decks or decks that you could take advantage with. And there's also Galarian Moltres that can accelerate energies, and it's good against decks that are weak to Dark. I feel like Rapid Strike Urshifu Moltres is lost in translation 100%. That's unfortunately my thought process when it comes down to it. I just don't think it holds its own in this format, even though it does well, and players will play it and see success. I think it's just 2 decks sandwiched into one, and it's kind of like, it's not even like peanut butter and jelly. To me, it's just like water and oil in a lot of ways, and that's what makes this deck inconsistent. I find this deck loses more often to itself than beating a deck like Mew VMAX. So I'd be interested to see what Lucas ended up losing to. I really don't see any problems, although I would like to see another Energy Switch and maybe another Rhyhorn in this deck, and maybe cutting the telescopic sight. And I don't know if you need the Passimian yet. But they lost to Dark Box. Dark Box is really a match that they shouldn't lose to, so their deck probably was a little bit inconsistent, or they did not understand that matchup. So we're going to go back and see what else we got going on. Great job to them, by the way. We're going to see another Dark Box. So Marcello P. So this deck does not play the Rapid Strike that we saw. It does play an extra Sableye V. And I think that's one of those things where this looks like a straight up more consistent list. But there's really nothing wrong with it at all. I think it's one of those things where this is a just consistent version. One thing that I do like in the deck is not playing Tapu Koko. I like to see the Snow Form Cast Form, just because it's searchable with Level Ball. And I know there's other Cast Forms with Free Retreat or other Pokemon like that. That one just has the most uncommon weakness that could actually knock it out. I think Allure is cool, and that's really the biggest argument. But Level Ball is a little bit more cool, so you could search for it with a single with a Level Ball. So really like this list. Again, I'd probably just change the Tapu Koko into a Rain Cast form, but maybe this player's been able to use Allure for success. What deck did they end up losing to? Jolteon. Yep. So maybe they wanted the Rapid Strike Urshifu after all. It's tough, but maybe with the Rapid Strike Urshifu they wouldn't have got that far. We're gonna see Sussy Baka playing Gengar. So Gengar VMAX is largely a deck that I helped popularize in this format. I played it to the first Limitless Legal event for Fusion Strike, and I was able to win. Players were like, Zach, that deck sucks, Gengar sucks. And here we are, Gengar is the number 2, number 3 best deck in format. So sometimes it's really good to trust your gut instinct. Gengar VMAX is about using Fear and Panic when your opponent has access to a bunch of V Pokemon in play, or you want to be using GMAX Swallow Up to knock out anything. You have Houndoom as a core to accelerate energies, and I think the Stonjourner, I wish I played Stonjourner more in my list. I think that's really one of those things where I should have maybe cut that instead of Rapid Strike Urshifu, but the Rapid Strike Urshifu also helps out in other matchups. So far, I think this list looks great. I really don't see much that I would change here. I do like the Battle VIP Pass Crymomatic in here. Although there's too little Path to the Peak for my liking. I think that's probably the biggest mistake if they ran into a Duraludon. They probably lose to Duraludon. There's not enough Path to the Peak to get through Skyscraper. Overall, I think this list looks great. It's just you lose to Duraludon. If you don't face Duraludon, you're probably in a better position than not playing Duraludon. Although, Path to the Peak does help against random Mew VMAX players. I'm going to pause to stay hydrated. Geez, sometimes these videos just absolutely killing me. You almost win this to death. So lost to Jolteon. Probably got a poor start. Otherwise, I think that's a super favorable matchup. So Gengar can brick like any other deck. So straight up, happy to see Gengar up there. We do see Josh Sutherland, the homie, one of my best friends in the Pokemon community. One of my best friends in general. I really like Josh a lot. So they always play Zacian V, and they're able to go Intrepid Sword, accelerate some energies, and then Brave Blade. I've watched them countless times use Brave Blade turn 2 because they hit 3 energies off Intrepid Sword. It seems to be their specialty. One of the only few players that play this deck. Zamazenta V is going to be helpful against Rapid Strike decks, or decks that just like are VMAX decks or anything else like that. I guess I should say Rapid Strike Urshifu, not Rapid Strike decks, but anyways, some decks just do not have great answers against Zamazenta V. So this deck's aggressive, this deck's quick. I'm personally not a huge fan of it. I know that Josh is like, Zach always says they're not a huge fan of my deck, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things where this deck's aggressive, this deck's basic, but it works, it's effective, and it does allow Josh to see the success that they're looking for. So I wouldn't change anything. To me, this is like arguing against a brick wall. I know Josh knows what they're doing with their deck, and they're always seeing success with it. I don't remember what they ended up losing to. Gengar. Gengar's a really bad matchup because they have Path to the Peak to get around access to your Zamazenta. Their Pokemon do more damage and knock you out. So it's really just a case of that you really don't have any tricks against Gengar as long as Gengar gets set up. Moving on to Mew, we have Chris Chop 94. Chris Chop 94 with Mew VMAX. I mean, I think this looks like a pretty straight up list again. So we already covered Mew VMAX. This is not playing catcher, it's instead playing Great Ball. I think that playing the 1 escape rope 3 switch might be a little bit off trend in the meta as Dark Box has grown into the number 3, number 4 deck in formats. I think there's nothing really wrong with this list. I think Old Cemetery is cool, One Rose Tower is cool. Like, there's really nothing wrong. I would just like say that the lack of the 3rd basic psychic energy for this week is situational. I mean, if you are fine losing to Duraludon, that's fine. You can still beat Duraludon, but it's probably going to be a loss. I'd like to see 2 escape rope, 2 switch, particularly for this week. I don't know if I like 4 Ellis's Sparkle in this deck anymore. I used to like it, but maybe that helped them just kind of have that turbo Mew. I mean, Mew list can basically do whatever they like for the most part, but everything else in this list looks pretty standard for a Mew list, so shout out to them. I wonder what they ended up losing to. Gengar. So Gengar is absolutely tearing through Mew as always. We're going to be moving on to Mario Yanez playing Stonjourner VMAX, a deck that we probably wouldn't be expecting here, but Stonjourner VMAX all about healing with Stone Gift and Hyper Potion and Lucky Ice Pop and having extra HP with Full Face Guard and blocking damage with Stone Fighting Energy. Eventually, it's just kind of like you're an attacking control, so you heal, 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 heal. Then you go ahead and go forward with your max Rockfall attack so that you're able to damage your opponent once you're not going to get knocked out. And you kind of go attack, heal, 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 attack. So eventually you build up on damage over your opponent and they run out of resources to the point where you're just able to overcome them. Stonjourner to me is like a half brick deck, half very good. So it's nice to see it go this far. Love to see the things. Losing to Zacian. Zacian, I guess Zamazenta just blocks their damage. And they really don't have a great way around it. So I can only imagine that that's what Kevin Wallace did. So moving on to Kevin Walunas, sorry, playing Zacian Zamazenta. Very similar deck that we saw with Sutherland's. And I think the difference is they played a Sir Chester Bath, and there's probably just one change over here. I mean, the list is probably like one card off, so really nothing wrong there, just personal preference at that point. End up losing to Gengar again. The same thing that knocked Josh out. Gengar is really beats a lot of these decks, and that's one of the reasons why Gengar is such a powerful deck. So beating Zacian, unfavorable matchup for Zacian. It's what you expect. We're going to see Waffle Roth playing Gengar. To me, this looks like it's a very similar list to what we've seen. If anything, I think this is like 1 or 2 cards off the current list that I have for Gengar in this format. I do like double Crobat in this deck. That's one thing that I didn't necessarily see in Sussy's list earlier, but it is one of those things where with Path to the Peak, it's weird with Crobat. But yeah, everything here looks great. Really kind of the build with the Battle VIP Pass Cramomatic. I think this looks like an absolutely amazing list. So great job to them. What did they end up losing to? They ended up losing to Duraludon. That's kind of an unfortunate matchup. I would not expect that, to be honest. It should have probably won. We're going to be moving on to Jolteon. Jolteon VMAX is going to be another deck that we haven't covered yet today. So Max Thunder Rumble, doing 100 damage to the active, 100 damage to the bench. As long as there's damage, you can get that with Zigzagoon or Quick Shooting Inteleon. This deck has Disruption with Fan of Waves, Path to the Peak, Marnie, doing multiple damage, can accelerate energies, kind of like with Elemental Badge, not accelerating energies, but lower their energy costs. Jolteon VMAX is just consistent. That's why it's the second best deck in formats. And it's just really good, getting double damage off. And I mean, you could block your opponent with Path to the Peak against Mew. I don't like 3 Path to the Peak. I really like 4 to beat the Mew matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up losing to a Mew or a deck that could have used Path to the Peak. Sometimes Jolteon just bricks too, so we'll have to see. They end up losing to Rapid Strike. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. They're going to lose to Rapid Strike. I feel like this Joe player has hit quite a few good matchups in Top Cut, and that's one thing you'll see. If you hit good matchups in Top Cut, you can definitely rise to the top. We have this is a player that I was talking about for the list. We work together, so we have no ideas, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of those last names. To me, this seems like it's a very solid list. I do like the Zigzagoon in this deck. I do like the Snowcast form. Really nothing that I would change here. Again, I don't know if the Avery is helpful. I'd have to ask out. You know, if you're watching, just let me know in the comments below if you think that if you find the Avery helpful. I have not personally liked Avery, but I do think that decks like this can run text because you can search them right out with shady dealings. So since we've already overcovered this deck like 2-3 times now, we want to see exactly what they ended up losing to. Jolteon, again, another poor matchup. So it sucks when you're playing in cut and you hit a matchup that's not favorable. You hit a matchup that's unfavorable, but it is what it is. Shout out to them. We're moving into the top 4. We've covered already 12 players, 4 players left. We have Victor Garcia playing Jolteon VMAX. So again, very similar list. One thing that I don't like is the capture energy. It actually hurt my whole soul so much because that capture energy is unsearchable. It's nice to go turn 1, keep calling with. It's not bad to go capture energy onto a Jolteon. It's not bad. I just don't find that you're going to be searching out 1 and it's just a special. I'm not a fan of it. I'll be straight up. I'm just not a fan of it, and I don't think it's going to come out, but people love it for some reason. And I mean, I'm not the one who's making top 4 Atlanite series. Beyond that, the rest of the list looks great. I do like Escape Rope in this deck personally, but that's just my personal thought process. What did they lose to? They lost to Gengar. Again, another unfavorable matchup for them. We're moving on to Joe's list with Rapid Strike Moltres. We've already covered Rapid Strike Moltres. Where does this one change? This one does play double energy switch. I do like that. I don't know if I like the Sableye V in this deck at all. I don't know if that necessarily helps. We do see that there's still the Telescopic Sight Pissimian. To me, I think Sableye V almost adds an extra element of something that's, I don't know. I don't know what they really got to add in the Sableye V, or the extra fighting energy, or all these other cards. And I mean, I feel like this list also looks exactly the same as what we saw before. There's only 3 2-line, but I like to see like 3 Moltres. I like to see 3-3. I like to see a lot of other things. So that's one thing that I'd like to go over. It's just like, again, I feel like it's oil and water for a lot of this deck, not to necessarily bash this deck or anything else like that, but it is one of those things where I think the deck is a little bit inconsistent at times, so that's my thought process there, and that's not to bash on any list. I think it looks as solid as it can be for Rapid Strike Moltres, although I'm not a huge fan of the Sableye, and I'd like to see another Raihan, and there's a few other small changes, but nothing much to note. They ended up losing to Duraludon. That's a poor matchup, so that makes sense. We're going to be moving into our first Duraludon, our finalist, Black Snack. And Duraludon's all about using Skyscraper. Skyscraper is going to be blocking special energies. I think that's pretty cool, and use Zacian as a way to either offer up prize cards, because you go offer up a Zacian, then double Duraludon VMAX. That's your opponent drawing 8 prize cards, no matter which way you slice it. I think this list looks solid. I'm not sure how I feel about Sydney. Sydney's interesting. Your opponent reveals their hand, discard up to 2 energies, Pokemon tools, special energies, and stadiums. Maybe it's helpful for the stadiums, such as Path to the Peak. I could see Sydney working a little bit there. I don't know how quickly you're going to be able to get it out with things like Pokegear and stuff like that, but certainly cool. I'd like to see a 4th Yell Towel, but overall this looks like an absolutely fine list. After you just use Skyscraper, you just go GMAX, what's the attack called? GMAX Pulverization. So you're pulverizing with a Hotel Dragon Pokemon. So we know what they ended up losing to, because it's the deck that won the tournament. We have Jad winning with Gengar VMAX. So they played a little bit of a different list than what I would ever play. I think this list is absolutely wild, in good ways and bad ways. So as a Gengar kind of purist, I do not like the Snorlax. I do not like the Lucky Ice Pop. I do not like the Bird Keeper. I don't hate the Bird Keeper, I'll put it like that. I think Bird Keeper is fine, I'll take that back. Otherwise, it's that mix between the core. I'd like to see Cramomatic in this deck to grab some specific pieces. So I think there's a little bit too much switching in this deck, and I think that there's a little bit too much of other things in the deck, but it's not a bad list by any means. It's still a Gengar kind of pure deck at its form, and I mean, I do think this is the best way to be playing Gengar right now. So overall, absolutely amazing job. They ran through, and they had a very going 14-3-1. They ended up losing to Jolteon, which could happen. They hit a fighting type deck, poor matchup. Hit a dark box deck, poor matchup. But they did. They even beat other things like Rapid Strike, Urshifu, Durant. Like, they went through a bunch of random decks and had a very, very, very clean path in top 16 after going 5-0 Phase 2 Swiss. So shout out to them for winning the Late Night Series event. Absolutely amazing to watch, and I'm just absolutely hyped to see how this event turned out. I'm more than excited to see how Late Night number 29 is going to happen with the Brilliant Stars format. So if you're a player who played in these events and you want to defend your list, tell us if you hated your list, whatever's going on. I'd love to know your story below. If you're looking forward for Late Night number 29, you can sign up in the link in the description. So that has a link to all my upcoming events. That being said, I will catch up with all y'all in the outro, so let's jump over there. And that's what we got going on for this video today, peeps. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, learning more about these top 16 deck lists. And I'm so hyped, so excited, so everything for the Late Night Series to be Brilliant Stars format. And I'm sure soon enough we're going to be switching over to PTCG Live for these events, so I'm stoked for that as well. But right now it's PTCGO, so if anyone converted to PTCG Live, find someone else's account that's PTCGO. We can't, there's no crossplay or anything like that. If you have any questions about that, let me know in the comments. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just disregard everything. Just have PTCGO play in Late Night, blah, 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 blah. We're good. If you are trying to pick up any of the cards to build up any of these decks or any decks, go to ptcgostore.com, plug in code ZELASAGE5 to save 5% on your next order of codes. That'd be absolutely amazing, and it does help support me as a content creator. I get a little bit of a splashback there. If you're trying to pick up any of these cards in real life for maybe an upcoming event like Salt Lake City Regionals, you can go to atlascollectibles.com, put in code ZELASAGE8. 8, I guess. I don't know. We'll however it works. Both of those are in the description. If you're trying to get any coaching for any events, Late Night Series, Salt Lake City, just growing as a player, you can always hit me up at metafy.gg/@ZachLasage. I do offer coaching full-time on Metafy right now, and I've been I've been getting a lot of requests. So getting your requests first for whatever you're looking for, and I can definitely help you grow as a player, calm, patient. I mean, you watch my videos, right? You kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. Totally love to help you grow on a one-on-one kind of together there. So that's also in the description. Check that out. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments whatever's going on. I'll catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me. And my goal with this channel is to spread my love of the game and knowledge with our entire Pokemon TCG community. If you haven't already, help signal boost this video to other Pokemon TCG fans by liking it, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Hopefully we reach our goals really soon. Check out this recommended video, and have yourself a great day. Thanks.